arrears that have accumulated and all other pains that the veterans are facing, knowing fully well that it also affects the morale of serving troops and their ability to deliver in combat zones. We are going to read esteemed comrades, senior comrades, most senior comrades, the joint meeting between leaders of CCV and the Military Pension Board over the welfare of veterans community held at the conference hall of the Military Pension Board chairman as scheduled, and all our agendas were represented as follows. A, the 14 months arrears. B, late payment of monthly pension. C, 20.37% pension deduction, which is controversial. 1 month of 33%, which is also controversial. Let's start from the last two agendas that was reeled out by the CCV spokesperson at the meeting. Deducted 20.37%. The circular of the policy letter by the National Salary, Income and Wages Commission, which is titled Review of Pension Rates in the Federal Public Service, a copy of which was handed to all leaders present at the meeting by the Military Pension Board chairman. The letter read thus: the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, has approved an increase in the pension of retired public servants under the old non-contributory federal pension scheme as a result of the salary increase of 53.37% in the federal public service in 2009/2010. The increase and effective dates for the salary structures are shown in the table below. The table, which we won't be able to show here, are in 3 categories, and the categories both in the civil service, paramilitary, and military had 33% of increase across board. The point to note in this circular, if we may emphasize, is approval for pension review was given to retired public servants under the old non-contributory pension scheme by the President based on the salary increase of 53.37% in 2009/2010, not pension increase, our emphasis. The Military Pension Board chairman went further in that meeting to explain the reason why government arrived at 33% for the pension. Clearly, the 53.37% review was for salary and not pension, based on the fact that certain allowances like meal subsidy, transportation, uniform, hazard, furniture, etc., which pensioners were hitherto enjoying while in service, were expunged from the total sum of 53% to bring the pension down to 33%. In other words, the 20.37% is the absence of exclusion of the allowances earlier explained by the chairman. In the instance of this percentage variable, that was the explanation given by the Military Pension Board chairman according to details and data that was available to them. Nonetheless, we also like the public to know that it is still being contested by various veteran associations, and clarifications are available at the Military Pension Board at the instance of the Military Pension Board chairman. The next one is the extra 1 month of 33% arrears. On the controversial 1 month balance of the 33%, the board also explained that from the payment history and records available to the Military Pension Board, all arrears relating to the 33% was fully paid. The board also went further to explain to CCV representatives that if, for instance, government decides to pay the 14 months of arrears twice, spread over 2 months, should we then argue that 12 months is still being expected to be paid when what was supposed to be paid spread over 14 months is paid in 2 months? It was a rhetoric question that is yet answered. We think that the answer is no. However, and for avoidance of doubt, the board has also advised vets to individually go back to their pre-2009-2010 pension and compare same to their pension post 2009-2010. Find the differences and multiply by the cumulative number of months and report any shortfall to the board for refund. This particular aspect was proposed by the board due to the discrepancies in calculation in different veterans tables, and something that the 33% and the extra 1 month are still pending. So the board has opened that window that any veteran that finds these defaults in their payments from 2009 to 2010 to date should approach the board with their own data. Late payment of pension. On late payment of monthly pension, it was explained that from available statistics of records, pension had never exceeded the first week of the month, sometimes due to public holidays or weekends, as the case may be. At any rate, it further explained if pension is paid on the 5th of September and paid on the 5th of October, it is still 30 to 31 days. Be that as it may, the board is working in compliance with the directive by the Honorable Minister of Defense to see to early payment of monthly pension. For the information of the public and the teeming veterans community, payment of pension by the directive of the Honorable Minister of Defense is supposed to start from 25th to the end of the month, but exceeding the last day of the month begins to cause rancor among the veterans, especially the aged and the sick ones who rely on this stipend for their drugs and treatment. They don't have any other job to do. So this directive has followed, but the Military Pension Board explained the gaps which have arisen from transfers from bank to bank and normal network challenges of banks, interbank transfer. 14 months arrears. On the 14 months arrears, the Military Pension Board has charged influential vets, quote and unquote, amongst us to also complement the ongoing efforts by the board to facilitate or influence decision makers in government for early release of funds to pay the pension arrears of 14 months that is expected. The Military Pension Board chairman will, however, not risk mentioning a specific date of commencement of payment because his integrity and lack of power to authorize the release of funds to pay the pension arrears. It has been accepted that there is an arrears of 14 months from the last increase of veterans' pension. And this arrears was initially initiated to be paid in piecemeal, and the veteran community rejected this totally, and that ordered the instance of the meeting with the hierarchy of the military, and they have accepted to pay these arrears in 2 installments, and the date for commencement of this payment has not been revealed. We are waiting. With the present realities, one thing we can take to the bank here is the transparency of the incumbent military pension board chairman, and we make bold to say this without fear or sentiment. I would like to mention at this stage that we have had a very warm and open door approach by the office of the chairman of the Military Pension Board. and we are glad to say that he has done all within his power to ensure that veterans' welfare is captured adequately and speedily. But we are not yet seeing the correlative action from the executive of government, who are supposed to welcome him and open all doors for him to be able to assess what is rightly for the military veterans. You would all recall that prior to the review of harmonization and subsequent implementation of pension in January 2019, the military pension board chairman, called Veterans Association to a meeting where he and his team practically explained the computation of the harmonized pension and charged leaders of veterans groups to educate their members in a way that all stakeholders will be on the same page. This time again, classified documents were shown to the leaders of CCV, detailing how the implementation of the pension review of 2019-2010 was arrived at. These documented revelations would have saved us the perceptions that had hitherto been expressed by veterans across the country. Consequently, except any of us is in possession of a counter document, the issue of the 20.37% and 1 month of 33% would seem to be put to rest, especially with the open window that the Military Pension Board and the Directorate of the Military Pension has given, that any vets that have any discordant tune in their calculations can approach the Military Pension Board. Based on this development, we wish to, on behalf of our members across the country and in diaspora, encourage the ongoing efforts by the Military Pension Board Chairman to see to the early release of funds to settle the outstanding 14 months arrears between now and December 31st, 2019. And we have seen where it was mentioned earlier that the Military Pension Board has also enjoined veterans that have connections with people in authority to approach such persons. These pleas are not thrown to the wind. We expect such persons that could make a change within these demands to do so and do so on time, because the efforts of the Military Pension Board Chairman is not in correlation with the desires and the demands of the teaming veterans. They are asking for more, and they are asking for their rights. Keep it locked. This was presented by Sedistin Abiodun Durowaye Habat, comrade. He is the REMENAF National Coordinator and the CCV spokesperson. I am the Media Director, CCV, and I am the National Secretary of REMENAF. Seated here with me also are executives of community, the Veterans Military Pension Board, and the Department of Veterans Affairs in the military, and the Honorable Minister of Defense, and the Chief of Defense Staff. These persons mentioned right now has given their word, and they have not given a date. We have also given our word that we are not going on any street protest just for this window to be closed appropriately. And all entreaties have been made to national persons that are close to the government and the executives to see to the actualization of this timeline. By the close of this timeline, we will review our actions, and we will see who has not done what and who has done what. There are veterans associations that came up from the gap of government to be able to meet the demands and the rightful possessions of veterans. Before now, we had veterans coming on protest on the streets, and such veterans, they die on the road while in protest, And this has caused national broadcasts, and international community has frowned on such treatment of the #1 citizens of a country who are given red carpet in diaspora countries anywhere they find themselves. So that has brought up crops of veterans associations. We have the associations that are particular to senior military officers. We have associations that are particular to the Navy, the Air Force, and the Army. But the CCV has come to bridge that gap, which is the Coalition of Concerned Veterans, and bringing forefront runners of all other veterans community to stand in unity to speak on behalf of all the veterans. And we have captured all the demands of every association, close to 14 associations existing in Nigeria. And we have put all of them into one document presented to the government. And this presentation is having the appropriate attention. Our purpose of following up and putting pressure is so that it will not be distracted by normal government activities that does not take into cognizance that the attention put on veterans will increase the motivation and the spirit of the fighting troops. This particular purpose, in our time, there was nothing like corruption in the military. There was no time that you will see chunk of money being taken away by one military commander or the other. But because they have seen outside that when they retire from the military, whether Air Force, Army, or Navy, there is nothing to fall back to. That is why you see soldiers going into all of these avarice activities. And we need these organizations to come together. That is why we created the CCV, to bridge the bridge on all the demands, put them on one document, and give it the force that it demands. Federation of Nigeria. We have had series of meetings and preparations with the government, and the Chief of Defense Staff has taken it as his baby to create the Veterans Federation of Nigeria. And this will eliminate the scattered opportunity of every other veteran to source for attention and get their demands attended to by the government. So the Veterans Federation of Nigeria will be unveiled appropriately by the Veterans Association Department and the Office of the Chief of Defense Staff when the time is right. Thank you.